Hello, my name is Will Strouse. I'm a principal analytics consultant and Sigma expert at PH Data. Today's installment of Sigma Made Simple, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite formatting tips for scatter plots. Let me pull up a quick example here. So the underlying data to this is NBA players' heights and weights. So you don't need to know anything about basketball. We're just going to be talking about particularly scatter plots, but any marks or a calculation where you want to accentuate a distance from a central point versus creating a scale that goes in one direction. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So what we're looking at is each circle here represents a player. They're plotted on the scatter plot by height and weight. We see the average rate is around 220 pounds and the average height is around 78 inches. So players who are really tall and light are outliers over here. Players who are really short and heavy are outliers over here. And the general trend is smaller, lighter, bigger, heavier. This is kind of interesting. It gives us a distribution of the population. What I really want to find, and what I do with a lot of fraud detection views where we're using scatter plots to look at populations, I want to look at those who are farthest away from the middle, farthest from the mean on all of the edges, not necessarily just the high edge or the low edge. So what we're going to do is, and this is a calculation up here on the top, in the underlying data, I do have the average height and average weight at the row level for each one of these players. So what we're doing is we're taking the absolute value of the difference between the average height of all the players and the height for that player. And we multiply that difference by the absolute value of the average weight for the entire population minus the height, the weight of an individual player. So why are we doing that? The absolute value, as I'm sure you remember, just gets you that distance from zero. It doesn't matter if it's positive or negative, and you're going to have players that are over or under the average. So we use that calculation, we multiply the two. It's basically the same thing that the scatter plot is doing. We're just setting the mark differently from zero. And so again, we see what this scatter plot looks like here. When we bring that from zero sizing calculation onto color, you could see again, the big heavy player, this red really sticks out at the top of the scale. And the red also really sticks out at the bottom of the scale. And it gets a little more red. There's a little more color from side to side. Again, we're really accentuating the outliers. For me, you need to do the sizing as well. I just find this so much easier to see. So I double up the sizing and the color. And now we have a really clear outlier view where the eye is attracted to everything on the perimeter, not just what's in the middle or not in a single linear direction up or down or even diagonally. This just gives you a lot more information. And again, is really a great view for outlier detection. In addition to doing these calculations off of the average height or average weight, so I just used a table and created some summary numbers with the averages in there. You could also use a parameter. So you can create a parameter control. And if you wanted to explore data and change what this middle crosshair is going to be, how that calculation works manually, you could use a parameter control to do that as well. And that really will help you peel through the data and find some interesting outliers. Thanks again for listening to me and everybody else at PH Data during our Sigma Made Simple series. And have a great week.